It's Gunboard time! I got thinking and figured I could make some guides for Mythic and Mythic Plus. I really think Blizzard made a great decision by creating this system and giving us a decent challenge again. That being said, these dungeons can get pretty tough in the high ranks, and these guides will mainly focus on those and not so much the normal Mythic difficulty. Therefore I want to give you a couple of tips and tricks on what to do and what not to do. I will mainly focus on the bosses themselves and not the way there, though some trash require a bit of an explanation. Here we go! Starting off with the Halls of Valor and Himdall. This guy can really screw you hard if you're not paying attention. His most important ability is something called Horn of Valor, which will summon storm drakes to the sides. They will then bombard a part of the area with lightning. It's crucial that you look where these will appear so you can position yourself away from it. This ability makes the fight a bit of a DPS race, as more and more drakes will spawn with each horn and will eventually overwhelm you. During the fight, he will target a random player and throw a blade towards their position. This comes in rather frequently, so you better be on your toes with this one and move right when you get targeted. Finally, don't stand in front of him. You will regret it. When you come to this room, you can either head left or right and choose what boss to do first. But you probably knew that already. It doesn't matter though. But what does matter is that if you decide to bring a hunter, make sure he or she knows how barrage works, otherwise you're gonna have a bad time, that's all. Okay, time for Hyria. This boss's main mechanic is that the tank has to move her between two adds to the sides. She will then gain a specific buff by the add. If you don't move her between the adds, her stacks will get too high and the damage you will take will be too insane. Start off by going to Solsten's side. After a while she will cast the Eye of the Storm. You will then move into the bubble that spawns to decrease the damage from the storm. She periodically casts Arcing Bolt, which just does flat damage to everyone. Not much you can do about it, but just spot heal it. After about 10 stacks, the tank should move her to the other side. Here she will immediately cast Expel Light on a random player. This player should just move out of the group. However, in Mythic this ability becomes a little bit different. Because when it bursts, it bounces to another player, so keep that in mind. She will also use Sanctify, which deals a massive amount of damage if stood in the balls of light. So just dance around them. In Mythic, she also keeps her stacks from the previous add for a bit. It just slowly drains, so you might have to deal with the storm along with Expel Light for a couple of seconds. One last thing, when she casts her Shield of Light, don't stand in front of her, except for the tank of course. Let's move on to Fenrir. This is a pretty simple boss, just a couple of mechanics to keep in mind. You want to stack up when he does his Claw Frenzy, as it splits the damage on all targets. He will then use Unnerving Howl, which will interrupt spellcasting and also spawn a couple of adds, which needs to die ASAP. He will sometimes cast Ravenous Leap, which deals damage in a 10-yard AoE and puts a permanent bleed on target's hit. This ability stacks as well. You basically want to spread out so multiple people don't unnecessarily get a stack of this bleed. Lastly, he will cast Scent of Blood. This makes him fixate on a random player and chase him/her around for 6 seconds. So just run away. When you get to God King Skovald, make sure the tank knows to pick up the shield lying around. Skovald will then start by using Fellblaze Rush on a target. Just don't stand near that player as it creates an AoE around it. Soon after, he will start channeling Ragnarok. This spell hurts for insane amount of damage, and this is the time you're gonna wanna use that button that the shield grants you. Everyone should then stand behind this shield to avoid any damage from the Ragnarok. The boss will then pick up the shield and negate all damage coming from his front. Just move around him and attack him from the back. During this, he will spawn 3 fire adds, which needs to die fast, or else they're gonna cover the ground with shit. One final thing the tank should remember is something called Savage Blade. Make sure you have an active mitigation up when this hits, or else you're gonna receive a nasty additional bleed. Onward to the last boss, Odin. He has several important things going on. Firstly, he will target a player with a Spear of Light. Just move out of the circle. When that lands, it will create 3 balls that you just have to avoid, else you're gonna take damage and get stunned for a brief period. As the fight progresses, he will shatter these spears, creating shitloads of balls. Eventually he will drag all the players to his location and cast something called Radiant Tempest. This is a large AoE which will 100% one-shot you, so you better get out of that. Sometimes he will spawn an add called a Stormforged Obliterator. This ad is #1 prio and has to be interrupted and killed fast at all costs, otherwise his AoE will wreck you. Odin will then put brands on everyone. You then have to run to a specific circle with your corresponding brand on it. This will fully heal you and grant you a pretty significant damage boost. Well, that's basically all you need to know about Mythic Halls of Valor. I hope you enjoyed this guide, please leave a like if you did and don't forget to subscribe. Gunvor out!